All right, folks, we are, this will be the last video covering disability categories. So there's 3 disability categories I need to cover. So I'll be covering traumatic brain injury first, multiple disabilities, orthopedic impairments, and then multiple disabilities. So first one, rapid fire a little bit, traumatic brain injury. So your student has some sort of an accident or something that occurs that impacts their brain and how it functions, causing a lot of difficulties processing. And this is going to be separate than just developmental. So, this could be things that, learning disabilities and intellectual disabilities, but it can be tied to a specific injury, traumatic brain injury. So, and that's what, and then it got, obviously, going back to prong again, the impact of education. So that's traumatic brain injury. Orthopedic impairment means anything that it has to do with the limbs. So limbs or the ability to function, walk, or utilize your limbs appropriately. So sometimes we have students with wheelchairs and that are paralyzed, missing limbs, things like that. So those are things that kind of impact the student being able to ambulate around the school. So that's orthopedic impairment. And then multiple disabilities. This is a bit of a tricky one, but most of the time our students that are in self-contained classes have multiple disabilities. So this requires that the combination of disabilities is what's impacting education. How do we determine that? Meaning it has to do with, say I have a student with, cerebral palsy, and they also have autism, and they also have an intellectual disability. It's those things entirely are what are impacting that student, because none of them are going away, right? So it's the multiple disabilities that are impacting that student. Always make sure that either on the evaluation, and some states require it by law, and most states do, actually, I shouldn't say that, to actually specify what the separate disabilities are that are under multiple disabilities. So sometimes I have seen the multiple disabilities category and then another disability category separate and standalone. That gets a little bit trickier. Most of the time it's behavioral. So for instance, if I have a student that's orthopedically impaired and vision impaired and hearing impaired, that's their multiple disability. And then maybe they have ADHD, which is kind of like it's on its own, not necessarily tied to those other disabilities. We might put that there, but for the most part, if they have multiple disabilities, they have a lot of things going on at the same time. And so, and that's the key part there, is the combination of the disabilities. So I would always make sure that they can actually articulate, the IEP team and the evaluation team can articulate how it's the combination of those disabilities that are impacting education. All right, folks. So from here, I think I'm going to go towards I'm going to work on the IEP process. I'm going to break down what the different components of the IEP are. So that might be a few different videos, and then we'll go into section 504, talk a little bit more about the evaluation process, the eligibility, and the actual 504 plan. And then from there, we'll talk about the meetings. So, all right.